Mathematics and Science, the Cross-Curricular Approach. In 2010, Hayes defined a cross-curricular approach to teaching as a way of combining a number of curriculum subject areas so that they can be taught from thematic and project-based work. This approach helps children to make sense of their learning as similar concepts are addressed simultaneously, which allows their knowledge and skills in one subject to be used to enhance learning in another. However, for this approach to be successful, it needs a topic to be created that combines a number of subjects. This definition is furthered by Kerry, who in 2011 suggests that children's learning is enhanced by making links to another, as they have to use their existing skills to make sense of a new topic and gain new skills in the process. This view is supported by Barnes in 2011, who discussed how the world we live in beyond the classroom is in its very nature cross-curricular. He suggested that everything that we view can be observed in a number of ways, and therefore we should educate our children in this cross-curricular and holistic way. But how can a cross-curricular approach to teaching support learning? In 2009, Jim Rowe submitted the independent review of the primary curriculum. In this review, he highlighted the importance of a cross-curricular approach to teaching in supporting children's learning. The integration of subjects into a context which is more motivating and meaningful for children allows for each discrete subject area to be strengthened. Rose also stated that by teaching the curriculum through a cross-curricular approach, children are able to see the links between different subjects and the real world, and it allows them to use and apply the skills they have developed in one subject area to reinforce their prior knowledge in another. Similarly, Ofsted in 2002 noted that one of the features of a successful primary school is the ability of teachers to plan opportunities for children to apply the knowledge and skills learnt in one subject to another. This view is supported by Laurie, who in 2011 suggested that a cross-curricular approach promotes coherence and relevance in learning as it reinforces ideas and skills in a context which provides children with a greater holistic understanding. This is similar to Piaget, who in 1953 said, "At the heart of every process is discovery, and understanding is built step by learners' active involvement. Therefore, it is important for children to have complete understanding, as this allows them to apply their knowledge and make it relevant in a real-life and worthwhile context." However, such approaches to teaching also come with their criticisms. Due to natural links being found between subjects, there may be a loss of subject-specific content being delivered, which in turn could lead to teachers being unable to accurately assess progression over each individual subject. This is illustrated by René et al. 2011, who argue that traditional forms of assessment do not always allow for the assessment of skills learned through cross-curricular learning. Similarly, Rowley and Cooper 2009 worry about how teachers are assessing children's progress. There is also a fear that by combining several subjects to the same theme or topic, there is a risk of children only half understanding ideas and developing misconceptions. This is similar to the view of Mudges and Reynolds 2011, who believe that a cross-curricular approach may lead to subjects losing their rigour, which in turn may mean children do not develop subject-specific skills. Therefore, as Kelly 2013 stated, it is vital that links between subjects are valuable so that these skills can be adequately planned for. The Three Wise Men report by Alexander, Rose and Woodhead in 1992 criticised poorly planned topic work that resulted in a superficial learning experience. Therefore, Brown 2003 suggests that by teaching each subject discreetly, it allows teachers to analyse their planning and it allows for subjects not to be overlooked. Patharam 2003 described how for children to be effective learners, they need to develop their mathematical and science skills in parallel. This is furthered by Barnes, who in 2011 suggested that mathematical and science skills can only be consolidated and enhanced when pupils have the opportunities to apply them within a meaningful context across the curriculum. Hiscock 2012 suggested that science provides a context for maths as young children initially talk about their science knowledge in terms of number. So if children initially connect with science through number and through their education will continue to see mathematical ideas naturally appear in science, wouldn't it make sense for them to be taught together? But how would cross-curricular teaching of maths and science look within a classroom? The National Curriculum 2014 for Mathematics states that children should be taught to interpret and construct simple pictograms, tally charts, block diagrams, and simple tables. These areas appear again within the science curriculum, with children needing to be taught to record findings using scientific language, drawings, bar charts, tables, and line graphs. These skills were observed in a cross-curricular lesson in my placement school. The children were studying the topic of the 4 seasons, and as part of everyday school life were recording the weather in a weather chart. In this lesson, the children were then asked to present their data as a pictogram. The lesson allowed the children, via a theme of seasonal changes, to not only progress their scientific knowledge, but also meet the criteria set out in the National Curriculum 2014 for Mathematics. Another example of a cross-curricular topic within maths can be found within the topic of measure. The National Curriculum states that pupils should be taught to measure lengths and heights, mass and weight, capacity and volume, and time. These criteria are echoed within the science curriculum, where it states that children should be taught to make systematic observations and take accurate measurements using standard units. As can be seen, the area of measurement is key to science. What children study in science generates numbers, which highlights Barnes' 2011 view that everything in the world is in some way linked. Sears and Sorensen 2000 recognise that teaching maths and science skills mutually allows for children's learning to be reinforced so they can apply it within a context. So for children to gain a deeper understanding of a topic such as measure, children need to be able to apply the appropriate skills within a relevant context. An example of a cross-curricular activity involving measure within a context was again observed within my placement school. The children were investigating the length of time it takes for hot water to cool down. The children were asked to make predictions about how long they thought it would take, and then were able to use data loggers to measure the change in temperature. With the data they collected, they were then able to interpret their results and compare it to their predictions. This lesson clearly demonstrates a curricular approach to teaching maths, as not only did children need to measure the temperature accurately, they first needed to be able to make sense of what the numbers meant on the data logger. The lesson was an example of what Rose 2009 and Piaget 1953 suggested when describing children having an active involvement in their learning so they are able to use and apply their skills in a real-life context. As we look at the cross-curricular teaching of maths and science in the classroom, it is almost impossible to leave out the importance of ICT as a learning tool. In 2000, Kennedy and Finn summed up some of the benefits of using ICT. It increases the speed of work, makes information easier to capture, gives children a better appreciation of what technology has influenced in their world, and therefore increases their interest. With their interest increasing, Scottill et al. 2003 suggested that ICT can encourage children to become an active participant in their learning, as it can allow the outside world to become a part of their learning process. Ransom 2003 put forward the varying ways in which ICT can be used to benefit teachers, from assessment to using ICT as a differentiation tool so children can work at their own pace. However, children's ability to apply their ICT capability across the maths and science curriculum is largely dependent on the effective teaching and learning of ICT. Children's use of ICT in these subjects may be ineffective if they do not already have an appropriate understanding of ICT, which could lead to a lack of progress in ICT, maths and science. For example, asking children to use a data logger to measure temperature if they have never used a data logger before is completely ineffective. Where taught well, however, this again reflects Rose 2009's view that through the use of ICT as a cross-curricular approach, it provides opportunities for children to develop and apply their skills so that their learning is enhanced. In 2012, Hiscock explained an investigation involving ICT where children were using rubber bands to launch a marshmallow so that it would land on a specified target. This experiment involved children exploring a range of scientific variables, including the length and thickness of the rubber band, the distance it is pulled back, and the angle of the launch. Then, depending on the variables the children chose to investigate, they may measure the rubber band dimensions, the distance it was pulled back, the distance the marshmallow travelled. Therefore, the children were learning about the forces involved in stretching the rubber bands and how the change in angle affects the distance the marshmallow travels. After brief instructions from the teacher, the children could use information retrieval skills, as suggested by Edison 2011, to find out the best method for carrying out the experiment. Children could then use ICT to record their experiment and present the results to their peers, which has a strong emphasis within the new national curriculum. This lesson enables children to relate to their own knowledge of real-life situations, such as catapults, but also helps to reinforce the concepts they have already learnt within their maths and science lessons so that they can progress. To conclude, it is obvious pedagogically that some subjects go hand in hand, and children cannot have learning in one without prior knowledge and skills in another, which is key to a cross-curricular approach. As stated by Rose, 2009, this approach actively involves children in their learning, which she views essential to a child's progress. As Laurie 2011 suggested, a cross-curricular approach promotes relevance as it reinforces ideas within a context and can improve progression within the two subjects. However, as Mudgis and Reynolds stated, a cross-curricular approach could lead to subjects losing their rigour, and therefore children may not develop the necessary skills to progress. Therefore, as Kelly 2013 stated, it is vital that links between subjects are valuable so that the skills can be adequately planned for.